From the Apubco Studios at Britain and Broadway, you're listening to a News OK podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the News OK Comics Podcast with Matt Price. That's me, and Kyle Roberts. That's him. Kyle, what do we have going on this week?
It's a very kid-friendly week here. We've got a couple kid comics and then also X-Men friendly.
That's right. We're friendly to mutants here at the News OK Comics Podcast. So let's kick it off with the Muppet Show comic book. This was a miniseries last year by Roger Landridge, which very nearly made my top 10 comics of the year. It was really funny stuff, and now they're coming back with a ongoing Muppet comic book.
This is another Boom Studios.
Right, Boom Studios, their licensed kids stuff. Kermit and the gang take their show on the road, trying to raise money to reopen the Muppet Theater. And it's just sort of the problems and scenarios they run into trying to raise this money, running into an unscrupulous farmer who's charging them for the use of his land. And then also just the little skits they put on as part of the show. So it's still a lot like the old school Muppet Show, still some funny stuff. Great backup story with Fozzie Bear. If your kids have any affinity for the Muppets or if you have fond memories of the Muppets, I think you're going to enjoy this a great deal. Very funny stuff.
Sweet.
So,
and next,
other kid show that's on currently,
yeah. What kind of remind me of Muppets is the Baby Muppets. What was it?
The Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies. Is Superhero Squad. If it wasn't kid friendly enough, they kind of all turned into babies. I don't want to ruin it too much, but they turned to babies in this one. So definitely kind of remind me of Muppet Babies, but.
If you've been watching Superhero Squad, you know that Iron Man and his Superhero Squad are searching for the fractals. So is Dr. Doom, and that's kind of what's going on also in the comic. It's just just kind of funny stuff. It's I think kids are going to like it. Okay.
Yeah, and what kind of makes it's very kid friendly, and what makes it fun is it's so many Marvel heroes and villains all packed into one comic.
Which is also the part of the appeal of the show. So,
if
you're enjoying the show, you might want to pick up the comic as well.
Sweet.
Okay. Now, X-Men Forever. This is Chris Claremont's alternate take on the X-Men, taking as if he had never left the X-Men, what he might have done with them back in the 90s. So Wolverine is dead.
Gone.
And Storm is kind of gone to the dark side. She is supposed to have been the one who killed Wolverine. Take us through kind of what's going on now.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off in Wakanda, and it's basically kind of, this is called the Rising of Storm, and it's just Storm turned bad. She killed Wolverine. You kind of have to take everything, obviously, like Matt said, that you know about the X-Men, throw out the window.
Right.
About circa 1991 ish era, and then they kind of just change the story, which in some ways is kind of weird. In some ways is cool. I mean, it's a totally different storyline.
So she escapes to Wakanda, where the Black Panther's always been in love with her. Can the Black Panther's love redeem Storm? That's kind of what this issue takes a look at. So, I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I think if you go into it expecting, like, I know Storm is like this, and this is like this, and I want it all to line up, you're going to have more trouble with it.
It's different now, yeah.
But I enjoyed it for what it was.
Sweet.
And our final book, X-Men Origins Cyclops. You know him from, of course, the movies and his guest appearance in X-Men Origins Wolverine. And I believe he will be part of X-Men First Class, which they recently announced Bryan Singer, the director of the first two X-Men movies, is going to come back to direct. Possibly with new casting, although we certainly love James Marsden, Oklahoma's own star, who portrayed Cyclops in the first two movies. So there's a chance you could be seeing some more Cyclops in the future. This is a way, I suppose, for people who aren't as familiar with Cyclops to get caught up on his backstory.
I believe Josh Schwartz is the writer
of the first class. Yeah, I believe he's been attached to that at one point at least.
He's the producer of Chuck and like the old OC show and stuff like that.
So we could see some good stuff in X-Men First Class. Meanwhile, in this comic, you've got Stuart Moore, a longtime editor and writer who does a very solid work here. Jesse Delperdang is the writer and one of the inkers on it. I think he has almost kind of a Kevin Nolan look in these pages. Very solid. If you've already know Cyclops' origin, there's maybe a few new things in there that they've added, but for the most part, this is a recap for people who either really like Cyclops or who want to get caught up to speed on what he's all about.
Cool.
What's
your pick?
My pick of the week, I'm going to say Muppet Show. Muppet Show from Boom was my favorite comic this week.
I'm going to go with X-Men Forever.
All right, very good. So one from the kid line, one from the X-Men line. They're all out there for you at your local comic shop. So next week we'll be back with more. For Kyle Roberts, I am Matt Price. Thanks for watching.